we didn't play our best. Lipscomb was more active than we were early. We had, I think, 5 turnovers in the first 8 minutes, and they had more points off turnovers at half and ended up with more points off turnovers than we did. But I looked down at the stat sheet, and we have 5 guys in double figures. We shoot almost 52%, hold them to 36%. So there were a lot of good things. I think late in the first half, I yelled at them in the huddle, and they tried to show me how dumb I was, and they went out and played very well the last 4 minutes and got us a little bit of a margin, and then just kept playing and making plays. Theo with 15 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. I love that. Kenny being 4 or 5 from three-point line. So you got to win one to be able to stay around. And so we won one, and I'm pleased for the guys up here with me and the guys in the locker room.
Okay, questions first for Kenny and Theo. Please raise your hand. Let James or Michael get you the microphone. Let us know who you are, who you're with. Who has the first question? Second row.
Kenny, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. Just talk about how special today was for you.
It was very special. I was excited all week to come to play. My first game playing heavy minutes in NCAA Tournament. So, you know, this is what you look forward to growing up. So, you know, I was a little bit more excited about that.
Third row to our right.
It's Cole Gray, Illumination Network. Theo, what was your preparation for Garrison Matthews?
Just to make everything tough. I mean, watching clip tape, you thought everything he was going to throw up go in. So we just wanted to make everything tough, and we knew we couldn't support that much on him. Once he gets going, he gets going. I remember I was watching because Mike was my teammate, so I was watching the championship game, and I saw he had like 39 or 36 or something like that. So I knew if he got going, it could be a long night for us.
Back of the room on our right.
Theo Archansky, WCHL in Chapel Hill. Can you tell me when you incorporated the coast-to-coast part of your game and why exactly that happened? Did you get the coach's permission? Did you see the floor open? When was that and why was that?
I think I got coast-to-coast when I was 5. I remember when I was 5, they got mad at me because we was doing jump ball, and I just grabbed the ball and tried to go coast-to-coast and lay the ball up. So it didn't just start now. It's just building confidence and understanding that I have a gift and I can put pressure on the defense, especially playing at the 4 position. I'm the trailing big, so it gives me a little more room to operate and make plays for my teammates and myself.
Middle of the room aisle.
Yeah, Kip Coons for the Raleigh News and Observer. Theo, you just said you're the 4. Yeah, you've become the main distributor ever since went with the small lineup. How have you embraced that role, and have you had to change your game to adapt to it?
That's something I've been doing since I've been here, trying to make plays and get my teammates open and get them open shots. But at the same time, I'm a focal point now. People want to stop that, of course, but at the same time, I think if I can get into the paint or I can draw somebody's defender, I can. And we got great shooters. Like Coach said, we got a really good shooting team with Cam, Joel, Luke, and Kenny. We even had a conversation during the game. I tried to get Kenny's man to draw to me a little bit longer, which I could have pictured ahead, but just trying to make a play and get his defender to come off so I can kick it to these great shooters that we have.
Front row.
North State Journal. Kenny, you guys had some trouble, getting clear of them in the first half, but was it a matter of just not turning the ball over, and did you feel like once you kind of took care of that, you'd be okay?
Yeah. We were turning the ball over, and that's what kind of gave them confidence. I think they had 13 points off turnovers in the first half. But, that gave them a little confidence, let them stick around. And, we were beating ourselves. So once we got over that hump, we were all right from there. And we just had to get stops and finish on the other end.
Second row to our right.
George Willis, New York Post. This is almost the same question. But, Theo, why do you think you guys started so slow? And was that a product of whatever?
I don't really know. I mean, I guess you're just trying to get your feet wet. It's a big-time game. You win or go home, bottom line. So I think if you don't have jitters, you're not human, bottom line. So we needed to get our feet wet. And once you saw we got going, and I think we responded well.
To our left on the aisle.
Ruben from the Fieldhouse. Question for Theo. Actually, I'm going to take one for each. Theo, question for you is, Kenny was really good on the three-point arc today. When you guys were in Brooklyn, he did a lot of finishing the break. What part of his game do you really impresses you the most?
He's a basketball player. I mean, that's the biggest thing. People want to just call him one thing, and that's a shooter. I mean, today he made a left-hand floater.
Let's not go there, though.
Left-hand floater. Wasn't it left-handed? I mean, he's just not just a he's not
bad shot. That was a bad shot.
Hey, but he showed him he can make it, so maybe he got an opportunity to do it again. I mean, Kenny's a basketball player, and that's who type of players coach recruit, that they can do more than one thing, and it just showed today.
Since it became the postseason, you've been playing really well. Is there something about the big games that you think maybe stirs something inside of you?
I think so. I'm competitive, so I think that's just the competitive nature in me wants to step up when the games get bigger. And I also know now it's do or die, win or lose, win or you go home. So I also have to. I knew I had to step up my play going into the postseason.
Any other questions for Kenny or Theo?
Before they leave, let's get this straight. That was a bad shot. Why? You guys need some coaching. Why was it a bad shot?
I don't know.
He doesn't practice it during practice, and I'm dumbfounded that this rascal doesn't have the answer, because Theo was standing right under the basket. All you had to do is bounce past to him a layup.
Yeah. But I clapped just like you did.
I did.
Coach, any more questions for Theo or Kenny?
Yeah.
No, he was asking. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, guys.
Theo's always ready to stay longer if you need him.
Reminder, the North Carolina locker room is open. It'll be open until 5:37. Next question for Coach, to our left.
Roger Rubin from the Fieldhouse. Roy, can you speak to the way that Kenny has played here in the postseason?
Well, he has had some good games, there's no question, but he's had a pretty doggone good year. I think he's one of the 5 best defensive players in our league. He didn't make the all-defensive team, but he led our team in charges. He's really good defensively. Today, he picked up the 2 early fouls, but he made 2 threes even still while he was doing that. But he's had a pretty doggone good year all year. Now, one thing that team the other night when he got, somebody else asked a question about his layups plus 3. Was that you, Roger, or somebody else? It makes no difference. The other night they were trying to press us, and so Theo broke the press and threw it to Kenny, and Kenny laid it up because we do believe in attacking against the press. But he's a really good basketball player who's hungry. Remember last year he got hurt and didn't play all that time period. His freshman year he was 1 for 13 from 3, so he likes having success. But he has had really a good year for us all year. He's been our most consistent defender. And I'm not sure who's the leading three-point shooter now, either he or Luke, but they've shot it pretty well too. But now he's taking it to a little bit of a different level, which is okay with me.
Back of the room.
Joe Giglio with the News and Observer. Roy, you said yesterday you wanted the team to have fun here and enjoy themselves. Was your pregame routine chilling with your grandson there on the bench, was that part of your effort to have fun?
No, it's the kids grow old so quickly. I used to get Court and Aiden on the bench if I could, mostly at home. I was a dummy when I was a young coach. I never let Scott come down to the bench. It's one of the things I regret. So later on, after he got older, Neil Daugherty was my assistant, and I got Neil to have his sons down on the bench. We came back to Chapel Hill, and I got Coach Robinson to have his sons sitting on the bench and do the same thing to Coach Davis. And it's just, I loved a picture 100 years ago. You guys have never seen this picture, but I saw a picture of Tark sitting on the bench, and his son Danny was sitting on the bench with a coat and tie on. He looked like Danny will hate me saying this, but looked like a sweet little kid. And I've always remembered that, and I know that I didn't have that neat memory with my own son.
Third row to our right.
Coach, obviously you've been successful at a lot of places in the NCAA tournament, but you're now 15-0 in this building, 12-0 in Charlotte in NCAA tournament games. What about Charlotte brings out the best in the Tar Heels?
We have good players who have really played well. The fans do help us. and I'm willing to see if we can pass a law to say that we play all the NCAA games here. I'd be willing to go for that. But usually we played really well here. I mean, 05 and 09, 05 particularly, I thought we played great here. And so players play. I've never lost to a building, but this has been very comfortable for us. Hopefully it'll last one more game.
Third row.
Roy, Dan Wolkin, USA Today. Joel Berry passes Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. I know Michael didn't play 4 years, but is that a line of demarcation for a Carolina player? Just how would you put that into perspective when you pass him, in the record book in that way?
Well, I'm sure every kid, you say something like that, I started grinning. I mean, my gosh. But, 23 was pretty good, so having that extra year probably would have helped him too. But you're ahead of Michael Jordan in something. There's a lot of guys aren't ahead of Michael Jordan in anything, so I'm happy for Joel. But also, I've never had a point guard goaltend a shot that was not going to go in. So let's remember that's one thing I told him on the bench and then in the locker room. To goaltend a shot that is not going in was not the smartest point guard play I've ever had.
Standing on the aisle.
Roy, you're going to go up against a big, strong team Sunday. Have you seen a team like that this year? How do you think you're going to match up with Texas A&M?
I'm sitting on the fence with it because I haven't seen them very much at all. I said in one of the press conferences with maybe the ACC tournament, I watch a lot of games, but it's games against people we're getting ready to play. I watch 10 or 15 minutes of an NBA game if one of our guys is in there. But I saw a few minutes of, I think, who did they play the first game of the year? Some other country. Oh, West Virginia. Wasn't it out of our country? Yeah, okay, so I watched that. It was the first game. I watched a little bit of that. I saw them play a little bit of Kansas for about 6 or 7 minutes. So I know Davis is a heck of a tough kid around the basket. I know that Williams, I wish I were related, okay, because he's as good an athlete as I've seen. And his dunks, he dunks them straight down. His dunks don't go in sideways. But, Billy, just think about what that guy's gone through physically and mentally over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big admirer of the health problems that he's had and still doing what he's doing the way he's done it. I really am. I'm a big hero. He's one of my big heroes because he's handled some tough stuff. But I don't know that much about their team, and I need to find out a lot more in the next 48 hours. But I know a lot about their head coach, and I'm a great admirer of his.
3 more questions. I know who you are. Back on the aisle.
Roy, you know what Scott tells people that he's really pissed off at you for not sitting him on the bench?
No, I offered it to him, but I'd let him get a little bit too old, and then he said he'd rather sit with his buddies. He didn't want to sit there, but I know he has not said what you just said either. Yeah.
Same thing about Theo. The busting out, is that the alignment or his maturity, or you just saying take the dadgum ball to the basket? Or how did that happen?
Well, it's something that's been happening since Theo started playing, number one, but this year it stands out more because he is the four-man, so the four-man's got to try to pick him up. But every year, even Theo's freshman year, for Justin Jackson, for Harrison Barnes, every perimeter player I've ever coached, I said, if you get the ball off the board, I want you to bust out on the break, because I'm old school, old guy. The best fast break basketball I ever saw in my life was Magic Johnson getting the ball off the backboard. It wasn't when Kareem got it and made an outlet pass or James made an outlet pass or Kurt Rambish. It's when Magic got it off. He busted out on a break, and he's already left 2 defensive players behind. And then he had made good decisions on the other end, and he could take it to the basket himself and lay it up. Now, I'm not trying to say that Theo is Magic Johnson, but that's been in my brain for a long time. I coached it that same way at Kansas. I've coached it that way at North Carolina every year. If a perimeter player gets the ball, go ahead and bust out on the break, and I think it's the best fast break there is. And Theo, his freshman year, he had a bad assist-error ratio, but his sophomore, junior, and senior years, his assist-error ratio has been really good. A couple of his turnovers tonight were offensive fouls that I thought were questionable, but what he does is he is a playmaker, and I like for him to do that. Now, if he doesn't get the rebound, I want him to run to the low post on the other end because, again, the guy that's going to have to guard him as a four-man, he's going to come and set our rear screen on the lob, and so it gets him out on the court against a four-man. But it's been more evident because he's attempting it more, and the guys trying to pick him up.
Middle of the room.
Dick Cox with Cox Sports Broadcasting. Coach, can you talk a little bit about your perimeter defense? You took away their three-point game today and really did a good job with that.
Well, it was one of the three things I put up on the board, and we put up three things before every game, and it didn't have to be a nuclear physicist to figure out we needed to stop them or try to hold their percentage down. We're not going to stop them, but we really wanted them to not shoot a good percentage from three-point line. So that was one of the things we put up. But you know what we are, guys? We're the biggest remedy for anybody that's got three-point shooting woes. I mean, I'm telling you what. Let me make sure. Kenny Cooper was 11 for 55 before tonight, so we decided to help off in the post. So he makes 3 of them. Another guy that made one at the end, and I don't mean to pick on somebody, was 6 for 36. It's like several years ago we go into Kentucky and play them, and they can't make a 3 and shoot against us. They make every daggone one they look out. So if you have a bad three-point shooting team, just play us, and your percentage will go up quite a bit.
Last question, front row.
Hey, Coach. Kiera Luck of Black Sports Online. UNC, since the tournament, kind of have rocky starts in the beginning. How do you plan to combat that going throughout the tournament?
Well, first of all, it's hard for me to answer a question when I disagree with what your question is. You know, last year we played Texas Southern. We won by 40 or 50 or something. Justin made 5 threes in the first half. Now, back in 1982, before you were born, we had Michael Jordan, Sam Perkins, James Worthen. We blew out James Madison in the first round 52-50. You know, so there has been some struggles there, but you just got to play. But I've never thought we struggled in the first round. I've always thought we struggled more each and every round we go. But winner stays, loser goes home. That's the way we try to approach it. Thank you guys very much.